Hi everybody, welcome to the Hot Seat on a Media Monday. I'm Ron Klopfanstein and we're only days away from Pride Month. So my guests today are Ace Morreale from the Oneida County Pride Association and Scarlet Vendetta, who's a drag performer. So tell us all about that. But before we talk to them, here are some headlines what's going to be happening this month in Utica, Rome, and throughout the Mohawk Valley for Pride Month. So it all begins on Friday, May 31st. That's actually what's the night before Pride. It's going to be a Pride Eve drag story hour at 6 p.m. at the Treehouse Reading and Arts Center in New York Mills. The second annual Pride Eve drag story hour is a free and child-friendly event. Our performed books will be "Twas the Night Before Pride," featuring Mackenzie Taylor, Electrocute, and Aristocrat. I love those names. So in a minute, I'm going to ask Scarlett Vendetta here how that name came about. But one more thing, then the day after, June 1st, that's the first day of Pride, and we are having our Utica Pride Festival from 10 to 4 at MVCC. So Ace Morreale, let me ask you about that first, because you are the head of the Oneida County Pride Association, and obviously you were instrumental in planning this Pride event. What's it going to be like? We are down, listeners, we're down one mic today, so I have a mic for me, and both my guests are sharing one, so if you hear a little gap, it might be because they're going to pass it back and forth. So. All right, Ace, so tell us all about Pride Festival.
So we're super excited for Pride Festival this year. This is the second time the Oneida County Pride Association is planning it.
No, just get in the mic.
Oh, can you hear me better?
Don't worry about looking at me, just look at the mic.
So we're super excited. We have over 90 vendors.
Wow, 90?
Signed up. We have performances throughout the day. We have
what kind of performances?
Sure. We have a drag show from 1 to 3.
Okay.
It's hosted by Mackenzie Taylor.
Uh-huh.
We have a bunch of drag performers to fill out those 2 hours. On top of that, we do have musical performances and a theatrical performance sprinkled throughout the day. We are going to post a schedule on our Facebook page, so that way it'll be accessible. Check it out yourself.
That sounds great. And like once you do that, I'll put that in the Pride preview that I have on our website, uticaphoenix.net/Pride 2024. But tell us more about this event.
Yeah, we're really excited. Again, we also got the Zoom-mobile to come.
Cool.
Which is super exciting.
So it's a real family-friendly event.
Yes, family-friendly. That's what I am emphasizing. The festival itself is supposed to be family-friendly. You can bring your kids.
Yep.
The drag show will be inside, but it will also be family-friendly.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
If you want to bring your kids, you can, but if you don't, you can stay outside, and we'll have a DJ outside during those 2 hours.
Right.
So I definitely want to make it inclusive as possible for the festival, because there is the adult drag show at the evening. That is 21 plus.
And we'll talk about that in a moment too. So
that's why the festival and the drag story hour, those two
are definitely for a kid. So yeah. So it's a lot bigger than it was last year. I mean, there was nowhere near 90 vendors last year, and I love the idea of entertainment throughout the event.
Yeah, we grew so much this past year, mostly because it's our second year, so we knew how to do more stuff, we knew more planning, we had more outreach.
Yep.
We just had so much more involvement from the community to help us. We actually posted the application to be a vendor, and within 3 weeks we had to cap it, just because we had so much support so suddenly that we didn't even know if we had the volunteers to actually do it.
What good news! Oh my gosh!
So it's wonderful the amount of community support that we're having. And so I hope that the community does come out to see everything that we plan and have a great time.
So it's 10 to 4, and it's at MVCC. And somebody on my Facebook page asked me if they're disabled, like where could they park, maybe to be a little bit closer with college campuses.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the things are you usually have to park kind of far away. I know that as a teacher on a college campus, it can be hard at times in the winter. And for people that are disabled, like what would be a good place for them to park?
That's a great question. I was letting MVCC do a lot of that because we are partnering them to do this. And
Right.
That it's their campus, they know a lot more.
Oh yes, of course, right.
The front of the festival is toward the student center.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're on
which is like the cafeteria.
Yeah, the cafeteria area. If you guys don't know what that is.
Building,
So parking around there will get you towards the front, but because we have so many vendors, we take up the entire quad.
Okay.
So no matter which parking lot you come from, you will reach a corner of the festival.
Oh, that's good. So really, wherever they park, they'll be kind of close to the
Yeah.
event. So yeah. Now, how did you get the musical acts? Like, who? What are the other performances other than the drag stuff? What's the musical act going to be?
Yeah, so we do have Trash Handsome, who will be around noon. They are a queer group in our local.
Yeah.
Do some music covers for us, and then we'll go into the drag show.
Yep.
Afterwards, there is Ophelia's Looking Glass, who does some covers.
Oh, okay. Yes.
And
Yes.
then
They're
there'll be-
definitely a friend of the show. I've read
good.
about them in the past. Yep.
I'm glad to see that they get around. So we're
Yeah.
trying to get local performers. We really want to emphasize that.
Yes. I think that's great.
After Ophelia's Looking Glass, we do have what they're calling themselves Queer Jam.
Okay.
They'll do some music, some performances. They're just kind of a mixed bag. And I'm really looking forward to that too.
So it sounds great, because when people are walking around with the vendors and tables and stuff, it's great to see all the different things, but it is nice to have like music going on and
Yes.
things that you could sit down and watch, and I'm sure there'll be food as well, like there was last year, right?
Yes, we secured a few different food vendors. I cannot remember the names off the top of my head.
It's
but we
okay.
have
I'm
food.
sure there'll be a variety of stuff people
Yes.
like. So
Yeah, so we will have food this year. Because last year it was due to just timing, we couldn't get any. So the campus opened up for us.
Right.
But this year we do have food trucks.
Oh, nice food trucks. That's really
So
great.
we will
Can't
have
beat
food.
that.
And as far as music, I know Trash Handsome starts at 12, but we will have some music beforehand as well.
So whenever people get there, there'll be stuff to do. There'll also
Yes.
be a flag raising on the campus.
That was not confirmed yet. I know
Okay.
that MVCC talked about this. And I definitely am in full support.
I think it might be in a story that I wrote for about the flag raising in Utica. It may not be on June 1st though. So
Yeah, I believe the last I
it kind of
knew-
blurs together. There's so much coming up, you know.
Yeah, the last I knew, they were thinking of doing the 31st as a prelude to the festival.
Yeah.
But I actually never got confirmation, so I don't want to.
Right. Well, that's okay because once we do know what things are once we do have confirmation for things, I'll have all this stuff at uticaphoenix.net/Pride 2024. So Scarlett Vendetta is sitting next to you, and my first question is going to be, who is Scarlett Who are you? What is your character like?
So my character, Scarlet Vendetta, is just a lovely drag performer. I conceived the idea of her back when I was 16.
Really?
Back in 2020 during COVID. Locked away in your house, just stuck with like Drag Race. I really got big into that, and it just inspired me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so something I could see myself doing. And as a high school kid, locked up in your bedroom,
Yeah.
you just find ways to entertain yourself. And
Yeah.
I started playing with makeup, and then I didn't end up performing until this past spring of 2023 up
Okay.
at my college campus.
Yeah.
I go to SUNY Potsdam, so
Uh-huh.
I do drag all up there, and now after have done shows up there for a while, the campus works with us really close, me and another close friend of mine who performs in drag. Her name is Linguini.
I love that name. I love these names.
I love drag names. She's gluten free.
They're like
so
soap operas.
it
Oh,
makes-
she's gluten free.
She
Oh, that's
is, so
even
she
better.
can't have linguine. I
Oh my
love
gosh.
it. It's amazing. But yeah, so we do shows regularly there, and we just started back up the GSA on campus.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it went down, so now we're
Yeah.
starting that back up. But anyways,
So important to have gay straight alliances.
it is very important.
In life and on campuses.
Oh yeah, I think just having a community of people that you can go to and
Yeah.
like feel comfortable enough to talk about your queer experience is
Right.
definitely something that like every campus should have.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like for you to get to a college campus and be able to do that, to express yourself so completely?
So coming obviously from a small town, I am from New York Mills,
Mhm.
and so if you don't know New York Mills, really small. My graduating class was 46, so
Was
everybody.
there English teacher?
Oh, my English teacher, it was a lovely person. His name is Ron Klopfanstein. Yeah, so we had done a content production class together
did,
where
yes.
I looked into drag a lot.
I was so
and
proud of you because
Thank
you were
you.
so courageous to like write the story about
Yeah.
what drag meant to you and how you did drag and put it out there for everyone. And I was really also proud of the students because everyone seemed to support that. It
Well,
was
that's
really great. So
that's the important part.
It's
Is
a
a lot of
wonderful
the
thing.
student representation
Yeah.
liked that I was kind of more dipping my toes into drag and kind of being more fluid and whatnot.
Being who you were.
Yeah. And then obviously as I went away to college, you can only imagine it has doubled in size. I've met an amazing group of friends who make my life so much easier up there. I think all except for one or two are members of the LGBTQ community. So we just like, find each other, find community within the places that you are, and you just hold on to those people. And I think going up and having that experience of finding a community up in college has really allowed me to express myself in drag. Being around so many queer people has allowed me to really hone in on like, these are the aspects that I really want to focus in on instead of other ones. And obviously performing a lot makes it a lot easier to be like, I did not like when I did that, or that trick made me fall on my back.
I think performers are always hard on ourselves.
Way too hard.
I watch these tapes of these shows and think, I should have asked this, or I should not have asked that, or but how has it helped you as a person too? I mean, having this support must have helped you grow not just as an artist, but as a person, as a student, as a human,
Yeah, so in high school, it allowed me to really like just have a moment away from like classes. It can be a lot for a student that lives and breathes school, and I, not to sound very like I am who I am, but I'm pretty good at school.
But you are, and good for you.
Thank you. So I pride myself in the fact that I do well in school, so having hobbies outside of it, like drag, make it a lot easier to just like take time away and breathe. So that's why just drag really helps to kind of like reevaluate, hey, maybe this assignment you're working on isn't so important right now. Just like, it's due by midnight, take a couple hours, do some makeup that you like, find something that inspires you, and just create. And I think that's the best thing that you can do as a person, is just like express yourself and create. It's amazing.
So when we come back from break, I want to ask you, as both of you, what actually is it like at a drag show? Believe it or not, I've never been to one, so I'm going to ask you about that. But before we go to break, Scarlett, I got to ask you, are you a soap fan?
I unfortunately am not
it's
into soap operas.
It's amazing to believe that, because soaps are all about the divas and stuff,
God.
and it's like, I guess that's one thing I didn't give to you, is a love for soap operas.
I need to get, my mother loves soap operas, so I'm gonna have to.
What does she watch?
She obviously is
General Hospital.
Of course, General Hospital. Loves General Hospital. I believe. Fun fact, I don't know if you remember, but the show Passions, I think
of course
it was
I do.
hospital
Oh my
show.
gosh, of course I do.
My out of drag name, Ethan, is based off of
You're named after Ethan on Passions?
I am.
Ethan Crane?
Yep.
Oh
my mom
God.
couldn't come up with a name.
Named after Ethan Crane?
I am. And Crane is the person's last name. That is the music school I go to. How ironic.
Oh my gosh.
It was fate. It was destiny.
So he was a rich kid on Passions.
Oh.
He was a rich kid on Passions.
Perfect.
He was a good guy. A little bit full of himself at times, but
Then the name fits. The name fits.
I love that. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah, because soaps are about the divas and stuff. And Passions, actually, one of the first stars was the daughter of Susan Lucci. You probably don't know who that is.
I know the name, Susan Lucci.
Well, she was a big star of children for many years.
Yeah.
And, but you like the divas on the Real Housewives shows, right?
I do. I love me some reality TV, some Real Housewives, obviously Drag Race. And like, I love The Bachelor, even though like personally I don't consider that a reality TV show, because it's like more datey, but it is what it is. I love a competition. When like people fight with each other, when they like competition brings out the worst in people, and in the drama too. The drama, and I love drama. Not like in a bad way, of course, but
so let me ask you before we go to break. You, on the Real Housewives show, are you familiar with Lisa Rinna? I think was a Real Housewife. She
yes.
was in Days of Our Lives. I believe Eileen Davidson too.
That name I have not heard of. I could be wrong.
There's been so many of them.
Oh, I know. And I'm just getting into it. I just started like a couple like.
Who's your favorite?
I am really between, personally, like you said, Lisa Rinna, and I can't remember her name, but I remember her husband's name, Harry Hamlin.
Yes, that's her husband.
That is.
Yeah,
I thought so. I thought so. I was like that. She's my favorite.
Sexiest Man Alive and People back in like 1980, whatever. I don't want to think back that far.
No, exactly.
Well, that is fantastic. So, we're gonna take a break. When we come back from break, I'm gonna ask you both about like what people can expect at these drag shows, either at MV or at the Uptown or in Little Falls. So you listen to the Hot Seat Media Monday with Ron Klopfanstein on 95.5 FM The Heat. This is a Monday, so we're in a Hot Seat Media Monday. I'm Ron Klopfanstein, and we're just days away from Pride Month 2024. So my guests today are Ace Morreale from the Oneida County Pride Association and Scarlet Vendetta, who is a drag performer. So glad that Scarlett's here because I want to know about, I've actually never been to a drag show ever, and it's kind of interesting because until recently, when there's really all this hate, and actually kind of until like you wrote your thing in the creative content class, I sort of like, I don't know, I felt uncomfortable about drag. Like it was somehow, because of when I was raised and when I came out of the closet in college in the 90s, the push was really to be like, very like, to be gay, but to be very like macho, like side of it, to kind of be what they would, I guess, call it, well, cisgendered for one thing, and heteronormative. It was really something that was really pushed in the gay community to be like that. So it's great now that people are really finding out, in a way. I mean, it's awful that there's been this like hateful backlash and stuff, but with all backlashes, it'll come and go. And one thing maybe in a way that's productive is more people know about this now and are aware of this, and like me, want to support it and want to know more about this. So why don't you tell us a little bit? Let's talk about first, like with a family-friendly one, with the one that's going to be the drag story hour at the Treehouse on May 31st, and the drag performance that'll be at BCC during Extra Pride Fest. So what can someone expect when they walk into a drag show?
Sure. So I want to preface this by saying that drag is a performance, is an art form, so there are so many different ways
a little bit closer
to put this on. Like I said, I want to do both the drag story hour and the family friendly festival. At both of those, you will expect to see a person who's, as I've heard the phrase before, an exaggeration of gender.
Yeah.
So you're going to do a lot of makeup, a lot of big hair, sparkles, going to have just as flamboyant as possible,
right,
just to have a good time.
Yeah.
At the story hour in particular, we are just going to be reading 3 picture books that are going to be informative about the history of Pride and what it means to be part of the LGBTQ plus community. At the festival itself, it will be a performance with, I think we have 15, maybe more, performers who will be singing, they'll be dancing around.
Yep.
So really, it's just supposed to be a very family-friendly performance.
So it's just like a show with people on stage who are kind of over the top, and that's part of the fun, the exaggeration of this. So now, let me ask you, Scarlett. So you're a drag performer.
Yes.
So like when you have your shows on June 7th and 8th in Little Falls, what will you do when you come on stage?
So I perform more for an adult audience, is kind of my more like normal, regular kind of crowd. But obviously, I love kids. Who doesn't?
Right.
Kids are just so just like cute and all that. And I think bringing drag around kids is very important because it shows them that like drag isn't something to be scared of, because at the end of the day, it is just an art form, an expression that is an exaggerated form of someone's true self that they just want to show. And specifically the younger age drag shows, as performers, it's a very big disclaimer from the host more often. This is a child-friendly drag show. Pick the numbers that you plan to pick, kind of think about that and make sure that it's not provocative, that the language is not, gonna offend anybody or anything like that, obviously.
So you have a difference between, like, say, audience that's like, a TV7, and an audience that's like TV cable drama, or like you would swear more.
Kind of like a rating, exactly. And obviously, like with child-friendly drag shows, it's important that all of the posters that I've seen have advertised that these are child-friendly drag shows. And I think the important part is that like shows that are for kids and aren't for kids just need to be advertised and marketed as that. Because I know for shows that are not, like the night show here in Utica, the performers can perform more in their, I
Right.
don't want to
Like
say
the
natural elements,
like the
but-
language is
Yeah.
more flexible. and
Yep,
stuff.
it's more of a kind of.
It's like a comedy show.
Yeah.
Like if you went to see a stand-up, you would kind of expect that certain ones are not for kids, you know, and most probably are not for kids, and
Yep.
some are. So.
And
yeah.
I think a lot of the times the only reason drag shows get a bad rap is because, like you said, it's just society not really understanding
Right.
what a drag queen is that this isn't something that is this isn't someone, sorry, that is trying to convert your child to be like them or something like that, because at the end of the day, I just want to spread love, kindness, happiness, and make the kid feel happy. Like, I
Yeah.
love seeing joy on people's faces, and at the end of the day, yeah, I do this because I like performing and I love the makeup, but I love to make people happy, and just like, as an empathetic person, drag helps so much with that.
And to give, you know, I think it is part of our culture in many ways, not necessarily drag, but like that kind of exaggerated femininity, especially in pop culture. Like to go back to the soap operas, there was,
Of course.
you know, Joan Collins and Dynasty. Please tell me you know who Joan Collins is. I bet you don't. Oh
I
my
know
God,
who
you're
Joan
killing
Crawford
me. You know
is,
Joan
because of course.
Joan
How can you
Crawford, you
not?
get bonus points for that because she's even further back. So
Icon.
I'm gonna have to tell you all about Joan Collins and Alexis and
yeah.
Dynasty and Knots Landing and Falcon Crest. Oh my God, those were queens.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So wait, so what were you gonna say?
Yeah, so I just want to jump in and say, I know the most common thing when you think of drag, you do think of a drag queen. I do want to add, there's also, drag is so much more diverse than that.
Oh really?
There are drag queens, there's drag kings, and there's also in-betweens.
Really?
So,
Yeah.
as
Wow.
expansive as the gender spectrum is, so is the drag performances. And at my festival, we do have kings, queens, and in-betweens.
So what would a drag king be like? How would they present themselves, and what would they explore in their presentation?
Sure. A lot of I work most closely with Mackenzie Taylor, who's queens, but I
Okay.
have had a few workings with kings.
Yeah.
And they typically exaggerate the male gender by having very colorful beards, sparkling.
okay.
They may contour their face to be more masculine. They will wear
Yeah.
more masculine clothes, just in a more flamboyant way.
Right.
So there is more diversity in it, and
Yeah.
again, this is an exaggeration of gender, so it will be the particular performer's interpretation of that exaggeration.
Right. Sort of like how, I mean, we have that too in our culture, like the Sylvester Stallones and Schwarzeneggers, the movie stars that, you know, they're kind of like exaggerations of masculinity. So I didn't realize that there were drag kings. And have you worked with some, Scarlett?
I luckily have. I love working with all different types of drag performers. I love my drag kings and the drag, other drag artists. There's a lot out. Obviously, unfortunately, our drag scene here in Utica is slowly growing. A lot more people are getting into it. But if you go to Syracuse or Albany, you can find tons of diverse performers at
Really?
places all around there. I see so many different types of kings, queens, artists that don't conform to one specific type of gender throughout drag. It's just,
Wow.
it's a real reminder that at the end of the day, drag is not a guy dressing up as a woman, more or
Right.
less someone expressing a part of themselves that they don't get to express, that's just exaggerated and
Yeah.
more authentic to them, I guess.
Because if someone really felt as if they wanted to transition to the other gender, if they were going from male to a female, they wouldn't express themselves on a day-to-day basis with, like, you know, tons of makeup and big hair. Like they wouldn't kind of present themselves like they were a nighttime soap star. You know?
Exactly, and I want to preface.
So
but,
part
like,
of it is the fun of the exaggeration. is what I'm trying to
Exactly.
say.
Yeah, drag definitely has a lot of exaggerated capabilities to it. There's a lot of like standard drag that we see is big hair, big eyebrows, big makeup. But now there's a lot of a rise of more like I want to say natural looking drag queens, but that is such a terrible term to use.
Interesting.
But like more I also want to use the term passing, but not really. Like queens that just look more like everyday to day people. And I think it's kind of grown just because of people wanting to like kind of be more okay with it. And drag is so important because it allows so many people to find out their gender expression. Through it. Like I know I have my drag mother.
Now what is a drag mother?
So a drag mom is someone who there's different types there. I know of the term drag mother, but obviously there are different drag parental figures. At the end of the day, it's just someone who kind of takes you under your wing and shows you what the art form is, and all that. I am very indifferent, and I had a lot of my training done by myself in YouTube, like most newer queens do nowadays.
Like, is that how you learn to, like, what to do with makeup and stuff?
Yeah, a lot of my makeup talent came from YouTube and, like, other drag queens online doing their eyeshadow and stuff, just because I am a drag queen and whatnot. You go to other drag queens. So I ended up finding my drag mom through my college friend, and she was like, I know you've been doing this for a while, but I would love to take you under my wing and kind of help you out. And I can confidently say that, like, my confidence in your performance quality, just having someone to kind of guide you, very, very nice to just be like, hey, am I doing this right? And they're like, yeah, no, you're doing a great job.
I see. So kind of a mentor, or like sort of like an manager or agent, and acting coach, kind of all put together.
Yeah, I think a mentor is a great word for it, because this, you know, a drag mom for me is someone that, like, I go to for advice about, like, hey, this is something I want to look into. Have you done this? How would I kind of go about it? And whatnot. But obviously, you don't need a drag mom to be a drag performer.
You
or
taught
a drag
yourself
artist.
pretty much in the beginning.
In the beginning, and then obviously I picked one up along the way. But I think just yet again, this goes back to finding your community and finding people that really just, like, support you.
So now, when you come on stage in drag, do you sing a song, or do you like lip sync to a song?
So
I tell jokes.
Both, as in I lip sync and I sing.
You do both.
Since I go to music school, I sing every now and again. I lip sync mainly, just because, like, I love pop music, and, like, I like to have a good time and just like dance. So that's more what I lean to. But I love singing, and I sing a lot more for, like, pride gigs and stuff like that, where it's more of, like, a raw, emotional kind of performance.
What kinds of songs would you sing?
Right, I just learned for my, I had to do a level this semester at Crane, which is where you get tested on, like, your singing and all that, and I did I Am What I Am from the show La Cage aux Folles. By Jerry Herman. Oh my gosh, it's an amazing piece, but just, like, the energy in it, I love singing that. Obviously, you have that. I stand for more musical theater, because it's...
Is that your major at Potsdam?
No, I'm music composition, so I go for, like, writing music, writing jingles, writing songs, and a music business minor. So I do all the music stuff, but it helps with drag a lot.
And you've always been a performer too, like
always.
In high school. You were the star of Footloose and
Thank
stuff.
you. Yes, I was.
So all that must have helped a great deal.
It definitely did, and you see a lot that, like, drag performers kind of align themselves in high school with, like, the theater kids and the performance people, because obviously you're a performer. You love doing it. But I think drag allowed me to become a better performer. Because, like, if I get stage fright as Ethan, I can just think, it doesn't matter, just be Scarlett and you're fine, and you kind of flip into that headspace.
You're somebody else.
Just like when you go on stage and go to perform for a show, you kind of just, like, flip in that headspace and kind of go into it.
Have you ever had stage fright or
I constantly deal with it. This semester, I've had a long battle with anxiety. It's been really kind of worsening this semester. A lot with drag, actually. Terribly. Every time I've been getting in drag, I'm just, like, kind of in my head a lot. So, like, natural people things, but you know, it definitely allows you to kind of fight it a little bit, to be like, no, you are that person. Like, you are this amazing performer, and you know what you're doing at the end of the day.
Well, Ace, why don't you tell me, you said that there's some performers who are not necessarily on the male side, on the female side, kind of in the middle. I think we'll probably have to pick that up a little bit more after the break. I wasn't sure if Jay-Z was going to get back from his card, so I was going to dive with a long question here. But so when we come back from break, I'd like to ask you about that, like what you've, because you're booking the show for the Pride Fest, and, like, you've seen a lot of different performers and stuff. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and maybe a bit about what's going to be happening in Rome as well. So we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we'll ask you about those questions and more. And all this information will be online at uticaphoenix.net/Pride 2024. You're in the hot seat on a Media Monday on 95.5 FM, The Heat. Hi, Hi everyone, this is Ron Klopfanstein. We're in the hot seat on a Media Monday on 95.5 FM The Heat. And today we're talking about Pride Month. Pride Month begins on Saturday, it's in June. It's events happening all over the area. Utica, Rome, the Mohawk Valley. I have all this stuff online at uticaphoenix.net/Pride 2024. But now we're going to be joined on the phone by Caitlin from Super Official. She's going to tell us about, well, Caitlin, let me just ask you. So can you tell us a little bit about the Rome Pride Fair that's going to happen on June 16th outside of the Copper Easel, Keaton and Lloyd, and Super Official? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So the Pride Fair is going to be happening, like you said, on Sunday, June 16th. That is going to be a vendor-based fair. We've got like at least 30 people signing up. So far this year, we're going to have kind of a huge spread of people running all the way down the 200 block of Dominic Street, right out front of the Super Official Cafe, Copper Eagle Art Gallery, and Keaton Lloyd Bookstore. We're going to have volunteers from different organizations like the Legal Aid Society helping people with name changes. We're going to have a lot of queer artists and vendors selling the things that they make locally right here in the Mohawk Valley, just showing off that creativity and giving us an opportunity to support them in all the artwork they produce.
Wow, I really love this idea. So will this be like on the sidewalk, or will it take a part of the street? Like how will this work?
Yes, so we're not closing the street, although hopefully we hope to get to a point where we're so enormous that we can't help but close the street. So right now we're going to be spreading out and down the block. It's kind of incredible what you can fit. Basically out in front of the Capitol Theater, there's a ton of space. So we're going to be running down the whole length of that block, maybe down that tunnel in between where the Capitol Cinema is, Cinema Capitol. And if there's some bad weather, we're going to move some stuff inside, fit as many people as we can into the bookstore, into the Copper Eagle, into the Capitol Theater, and just get as many people in and out as we possibly can. Well,
I love this. I love this. I'm a really big fan of all the stores down there in that arts district there, the Keaton and Lloyd, and the Cinema Capitol obviously is one of my favorite places to go, and yours, and the Copper Easel. So what a great way to like promote the business too.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many talented creators around this area, and just kind of highlighting even just a few of them, it makes every part of every fair, all the work that goes into it, makes it all worth it. There's so many talented people, and you get to meet people that you did not even know were around here, see the incredible work that they create, and just learn something new every single time you walk through one of those fairs.
Oh, I love that. Fantastic. So can you tell us a bit about the Pride Prom?
Yes, so Friday, June 21st, we're going to have a Pride Prom. So basically the idea is that it's going to run from 6 to 8 p.m. It's going to be open for people that are like 15 plus. Just kind of making a very inclusive like Pride Prom space where it's like, hey, you can be whoever you want to be, date whoever you want to date, show up, dance around a little bit with people. It's going to be held at the Capitol Theater, right on the stage. I think there are a lot of people that throughout various experiences of their life maybe didn't get to have the prom that they wish they had, or for reasons now can't really get to have the prom they want to have. So we are making that a reality for people, letting people just celebrate being who they want to be and expressing themselves the way that they want to be seen and loving who they want to be with. So
that is fantastic. So, and if you can give me some information about the Pride Prom, I'll put that on this column that I just wrote. I'd like to get some, if people can get in touch with you if they want to go to it, how that's going to work. And I'll have information about the Pride Fair.
I will send that over for you. And then the other thing I will say is that we have a bunch of events scattered throughout the month of June on Dominic Street, either at Super Official, the Copper Easel, like we're going to have a corsage making class before Pride Prom. If you want to follow the Copper Easel on Instagram or Super Official Drinks on Instagram, we have a calendar that goes live at the beginning of every month, so people are welcome to kind of follow along there. We're going to throw up a couple little events here and there, and we'll make sure you get that information for your column as well.
That's fantastic. I'll put links in this column and in the show notes too to all of your social media contacts too, so people can find out more information for themselves. So glad you're doing this. Sounds like really great events. Caitlin from Super Official, thank you for calling in. I will see you at Pride.
All right, excellent. Have a good night. Thank you.
You too. Bye. So back to you. So we were talking about drag kings and drag queens and the difference. And you were saying that there's also some people who are neither one or other of the two polarities, I guess you'd call them. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Just like with gender in general, there are people who identify as male, female. There are also people who are non-binary. They are agender, they're gender fluid. There's so many different ways to identify. And just as there's so many different ways to identify, there are a million ways to express yourself. So for someone who's neither king nor queen, that will really be unique to them and how they would like to express their gender identity through performance. So I don't really want to talk because it really is unique to them. So it's kind of hard to speak in generalities.
Yeah. Maybe you could tell me, Scarlett, then a little bit about why is it so important for people to be able to express themselves as who they are?
I mean, obviously, mental health is really big. A really big kind of reasoning that people do drag. It just makes you happier. A lot of people use it as an outlet for just if you don't have a great life situation, that you can kind of put it on and kind of be someone else. At least that's how I've always thought of it. I can have a terrible, terrible day, but at the end of the day, I can do the makeup and I can throw on an outfit and a wig and I can be someone completely different and kind of take that step back from reality, and just kind of get a break for a minute, which is really important to just take a time for yourself.
Right. And how long does it take you to when you get ready?
So at the beginning, it took me 3 hours to get ready.
Wow.
Too long. Now, today was my shortest ever. I have gotten ready in an hour and a half today, and that is that's a pretty typical time that I hear a lot of people say. An hour and a half to 2 is their go-to. I do hear of people doing their makeup in 30 to 45 minutes though. I could not imagine what that is like. Oh my gosh.
Because this is your art form. When you're doing your makeup, your makeup is your medium, and your face is where you express it. So it takes a while. It does,
and I'm also a perfectionist. So
okay.
You see a little I'll draw a line weird, and I'll be oh, now I gotta just wipe it away and do it again. And so that definitely doesn't help to the fact that I take a while, but I like to look really good, so I think being a perfectionist is never a bad thing in this business.
You'll have to look. I don't know how you'd watch it though. I was going to say there's a video on eBay by Donna Mills from Knots Land, another soap opera queen, called The Eyes Have It, where she talks. She showed people how she does her makeup on the show, and people are still talking about this video 40 years after it came out. So you'll have to look for that. You have to look up Donna Mills Smoky Eye.
Okay.
If you want to, you can tell
Let me write this down.
My soap opera people. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've never heard of that, but this sounds very intriguing.
What I like about this is that it brings back to that. There was a time when on TV, there was so many female characters that were these great, beautiful, strong, over the top kind of female personalities, the 80s and 90s, and Joan Collins, I mentioned before, and Dynasty, and Dallas, and Knots Landing, Falcon Crest,
I mean, it's important that, obviously nowadays you don't see many, huge over-the-top figures in the media.
You don't.
Because a lot of people kind of just,
except on soaps.
No, except on soap operas.
I got you on that one.
And that's true. So, another reason why I am so happy that drag queens are becoming more mainstream and kind of more talked about, because I love over-the-top personalities that just, are there in society, and just hang out. For me, Paris Hilton's a really big one. Exactly.
Yeah.
I love this is gonna sound so bad, but I love celebrities who just kind of hang out, and they're a celebrity for their personality.
Yes.
At the end of the day, not because they do one thing or another, but because they are themselves.
Me too.
Yep.
Me too. So Ace, there's some amazing things that are going to happen in Rome. We just heard from Caitlin from Super Official, but there's some more stuff that you're involved with planning. Flag raising, I believe.
Yes, so since we are the Oneida County Pride Association, we want to spread
part of
out our
Rome.
events. Yeah,
Yep.
we're trying to get into as many towns as possible.
Right.
Just that way the whole county can feel involved.
Yeah.
So on top of the 3 events, we have the Drag Story Hour, Pride, and then the after show all in Utica.
Yeah.
Then we're going to pop over to Rome on June 3rd to do a flag raising at 1 p.m.
Nice.
Unfortunately, City Hall was under construction,
Yeah.
but the Rome Historical Society is allowing us to use their flagpole for the whole month.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing a flag raising on behalf
That
of the
is a
city.
beautiful
So
thing,
it is-
especially since we're being excluded. Would
Yeah.
it be discriminated against in the city of Utica by the new mayor, Michael Galini? You know, I'm working on a story about that. I'm going to have it on a different blog, but I'll post a link to it in these show notes. And could you speak to that contrast between Utica and Rome? I mean, what do you make of this?
It is really interesting to see that, because I also have gotten mentioned that the county
Yeah.
building is going to light up the rainbow lights on June
that's
1st for us.
Beautiful, yeah.
So we're getting support from Rome, from the county,
Yeah.
even from the state.
Yeah,
And
of
we're
course,
getting
right.
it from everywhere except from Utica City Hall.
I
We're
know.
still in talks, so
Yeah.
a lot of stuff is still in negotiation.
You probably can't say too much
Yeah.
right now. Yeah, right.
So, but it is, we didn't expect this, I will say that.
Right.
Because the flag has been raised before without any issues, so we didn't expect this.
Right.
So
For
we're
3
just-
years now it's
yeah.
been, yeah, right.
So we're just trying to navigate this new, basically it's just a new policy, and we're trying to figure out
Right.
what's going on with that.
Yeah. So tell me, there's also going to be a Stonewall anniversary near the end of Pride Month.
Yes. So Stonewall Stonewall riots started June 28th.
Yep.
And so while we have the Pride Festival at the beginning of the month, we still want to honor the anniversary on
Yeah.
June 28th.
Right.
We just got confirmation that Jervis Library will allow us to use their venue. So at
Nice.
6 p.m. June 28th, we will be showing a documentary,
Yep.
followed by a
What's the
panel.
documentary?
Yes, Stonewall Forever. It's
Okay.
on YouTube from 2019.
Mhm.
It's a really short documentary about what happened, and also following a little bit the lives of people after Stonewall,
Okay.
particularly like Marshall P. Johnson, Sylvia
Yep.
Rivera,
Yeah.
kind of what happened to them. It is very quick, short, so we do have a panel afterwards to discuss the impact that Stonewall's had on
Nice.
the world, actually.
Yeah,
I'm going to say the
right,
country, but it's
right.
the world.
It is the world,
Um,
yeah. I mean, it changed everything, and I think it's really interesting to me, especially because this year that I was actually born is
Oh, really?
1969, the year that we fought back for the first time against the cops, and it's a riot. It's also a rebellion, it was the first time and it was the drag queens who stood up to the police, who were like, this time you're not going to come into our bar, take us away, make us criminals for being who we are. We fought back, and of course we still have to fight, which is unfortunate, isn't it? So, and at times I think it even feels like we're going backwards, like with the new mayor in Utica and with the backlash that we've had. So how do you keep going? What words of confidence and of inspiration do you have for people?
I'm currently getting my master's in social work. I graduate in August, and I am getting
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm getting that degree because I do believe that not only is it possible to change and create a better world, but that we will create a better world. We have come so far from Stonewall riots.
Right.
From any kind of issue that we can think of, we have just come so far. And even though we are seeing some setbacks, that just means that people, the last few remaining haters, are really scared.
Yes.
We are gaining ground. People are accepting us. If you look at the statistics, each year, people not only in the country but across the world are becoming more accepting of our community.
Right.
We're seeing every year that there are more and more countries granting rights to people.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are countries that are taking steps back, and of course, we do have to fight there.
Yes.
But we do also need to take the moment to acknowledge that we are progressing as a nation and as a species.
I mean, in
towards
the
equality.
span of my life, when I was born in that year, the year I was born, being gay was a crime. It was considered a mental illness. And now, 55 years later, I'm married to a man, and I have, a life and career, and 2 careers actually 1 here, and more equal rights. So it's like things do get better, and all along that way too. There have been setbacks. In the 80s, there was an explosion of hate with the moral majority, and there was a lot of hate when I was in high school, because they assumed that everyone who was gay had AIDS, and there's a lot of hate because of that, and there have been backlashes really all throughout his history. So it seems like things are bad right now, and it's really disappointing, obviously, this new mayor to bring homophobia into a place that didn't have it before. But overall, things are going to better, I would say. So Scarlett, do you feel that way? Because you're probably the youngest one here. So what do you think is the state of LGBTQ rights in society at the moment?
I think my generation, I've seen a lot of people amongst Gen Z really kind of saying I identify as some sort of LGBTQIA+, and this is how I want to live my life. And I not unironically, but like unfortunately see a lot of backlash and just like a lot of discourse from their parents when they come out and whatnot. So I think as time moves on, we're definitely still going to see more acceptance and whatnot, but with acceptance still comes bigotry and people that do not kind of appreciate those different than them, which I am a firm believer, people's beliefs are people's beliefs, and to just stay in your own lane.
Right.
But I think as a world, we just need a lot more like happiness.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, and I was talking to a professor at SUNY Poly last year for an article that I wrote that I actually won the award for it about the transgender.
Congratulations again.
Thanks. And she was saying that what's happening is normal and predictable. This kind of explosion of hate because, and probably that's too strong of a word, but like this eruption more of little pockets of hate, Moms for Liberty type stuff, because people are just being more visible. And to go with progress, there's always going to be people who push back against the progress. They get scared or freaked out, and they don't know,
Well,
but like, it's a natural thing, and it happens, and it's always, we get past it as a society.
I mean, as you see, there's a lot of anti-drag, anti-LGBTQ legislation that is trying to be passed in America right now that actively limits what people in the community can do, what kind of medical help you can receive. And I think it's just really important to remember that at the end of the day, they're people. It's not, yes, they may identify as their sexual orientation or gender expression, but they're a person and have feelings at the end of the day.
So before we go, I just want to get one last word from each of you. What does pride mean to you, and why is it important to celebrate it?
So for me, pride is just really understanding who you are and accepting yourself just as you are, not trying to change yourself, and just be willing to live your life authentically, happily, and to just be who you are and be happy.
Those are great words. So Ace Morreale, what does pride mean to you, and why is it important that we celebrate it?
So to me, pride does mean a lot of things. When you say pride, it is an umbrella term that encompasses both the hardships and history that has brought us here, our current acceptance of ourselves, and creating community so in the future we have that equality that we're fighting for. And I guess it also ties into why it's just so important to me, just because we've fought for so long and just made so much accomplishments, but we still have so far to go. When I think of pride, I think that someone who's very close to me is an 85-year-old stay-at-home wife. And when I came out to her and told her my preferred name, she just said okay, and just now calls me by my preferred name. And so if an 85-year-old housewife can do it, that just shows that how far we've come, and there's hope that as a society we're going to get there one day.
Well, thank you. There's a lot to do for Pride in Utica, Rome, throughout the Mohawk Valley. I have all those listings at uticaphoenix.net/Pride 2024. Thank you for being here, Ace Morreale, the director of Oneida County Pride Association, and Scarlett Vendetta. I'm so glad that you're here too. And you really gave me a lot of insight into what this is really about. And I think it's so good to have that authentic voice to tell people. So it's not like other people talking about it that don't know about it, that don't like it, or that do like it. It's great to hear from someone who actually does drag, so thank you for that.
Of course, and if anybody needs to reach and to inquire about anything LGBTQ, obviously, I encourage you to reach out to the Oneida County Pride Association, and of course, and to me, and to all my fellow drag queens, kings, performers across the state. Support them, we love them. I'm going to plug my socials just a little.
You go ahead.
You can find me at Scarlet Vendetta, Scarlet.Vendetta on Instagram. I mainly am on there, but I also have a Facebook account under Scarlet Vendetta.
Okay. And
you can find me on there. Feel free to message me, ask questions. I'll be more than happy to answer.
And I will put links to all this stuff in the show notes. So for you too, I'll put links for the Oneida County Pride Association. So is there one more thing you want to add, or?
I was going to also plug that we're the Oneida County Pride Association. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or at our email, oneidacountypride@gmail.com.
Great. Well, thank you both for being here. I'm so glad you're doing all this stuff, and I am so proud of you. So thank you. You're in the hot seat on a Medium Monday, 95.5 FM The Heat. And I'm going to kick it over to Jay Easy for the easy ride home.